Hello and welcome, my fellow Phi Theta Kappans. While this is not the way we wanted to provide a convention, we're glad we made the right decision last week to cancel the convention. We hate that we cannot be together. Being with one another is truly one of the benefits of Phi Theta Kappa. Furthermore, we would like to say thank you to Dr. David Campbell and his staff at Northeast Alabama Community College, as well as to the entire Psi Epsilon chapter led by Olivia Dodd, who just had a baby. Congratulations. Billy Day and Emily Bailey. Thanks are also due to former regional president Jeff Patterson, who did a lot of work behind the scenes preparing for the convention. Finally, we'd like to say thanks to Dr. Charles Lake for getting our convention programs printed. In this video session, we'll get to see presentations from the speakers we invited to the convention, get a headquarters update, say goodbye, so sad, to our outgoing regional officers, and hand out some hardware and awards. We hope your families are safe. If there's anything that we as a region can do, please do not hesitate to let us know. Before I turn it over to our regional president, Stephanie, I just want to thank the Alabama region personally. If you have not heard, on January 20th, Martin Luther King Day, my husband and I were having a very normal day at home. He suffered a sudden, I'll just say cardiac event, and about an hour later he was gone. But y'all have supported me and loved me, so thank you. And after that, let's turn it over to Stephanie.
Welcome, everyone. On behalf of the Alabama region of Phi Theta Kappa and the regional officer team, I hereby call the Phi Theta Kappa convention to order. And that's a gavel, guys. My name is Stephanie Rocha, and I serve as the president of the Alabama region. My fellow officers, along with our regional coordinators, associate coordinator, and host chapter, Psi Epsilon, worked so hard to host and bring you a great convention. And while Zoom is not an ideal forum for us, we are proud to present this to everybody. To get this party started, I will turn and welcome Caitlin Simmons, Vice President of District 1.
Let's recognize the outstanding chapters of District 1. District 1 includes 10 chapters representing Bevel State Community College, Calhoun Community College, Drake State Technical and Community College, Northwest Shoals Community College, Northeast Alabama Community College, Snead State Community College, and Wallace-Hanceville Community College. Let's hear it for District 1. Now here is Colin Holman, Vice President of District 2.
District 2 consists of 12 chapters from Central Alabama Community College, Chattahoochee Valley Community College, Gaston State Community College, Jefferson State Community College, Shelton State Community College, and Lawson State Community College. Welcome in District 2. Now let's hear from Camille Bailey, VP of District 3, to introduce her district.
Obviously, they saved the best for last. District 3 consists of 11 chapters from the following colleges: George Wallace Community College, Lurleen B. Wallace Community College, Coastal Alabama Community College, Bishop State Community College, Enterprise State Community College, Marion Military Institute, Southern Union State Community College, and Trenholm State Community College. Again, welcome everyone.
2024 was a great year for the Alabama region. Chapters explored the power of stories, completing honors and action projects, and they also served their home institutions to college projects. In addition, they stepped up to the plate and held membership drives that they welcomed new members into our scholarly fellowship. And that's just a few accomplishments we did. The Alabama region truly rocked this year.
You sure did. While we had planned to model our convention after Phi Theta Kappa's beloved Honors Institute, where we would first hear from a keynote speaker and then separate into seminar groups to unpack what we heard and experienced, we simply can't replicate that via Zoom. However, we will still hear from our keynote speakers.
Our first keynote speaker is Jeremy Campbell. Mr. Campbell has traveled from the coast of California to the source of the Nile River, all in search of a great story. He is a National Emmy Award-winning journalist and author whose storytelling work helped change lives, change laws, and reach millions of viewers.
His reports have been featured on The Today Show, Last Week's Tonight with John Oliver, CNN, Fox News Channel, MSNBC, the Weather Channel, CBS News, and more. Currently, he works as the senior news director at Spectrum News Texas, leading journalists in Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and at the border. Decades of reporting experience in Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, and Georgia have helped him find his purpose, to help people connect by unlocking their ability to tell a great story. He also published 2 novels, Between the Causeways and Between the Mountains, both inspired by his hometown community, and A Great Dog. Let's now hear from Mr. Campbell.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Campbell, Frances Hodges' grandson. Chances are you don't know her. She's not famous, and you probably won't even find her on a Google search. But my grandmother changed everything for me by handing me that one simple line. Hi, I'm Jeremy Campbell, Frances Hodges' grandson. It was an introduction, but also it was a story starter. And knowing where to begin changed my life forever. Back then, I was a shy kid with a handful of coupon books to sell for a school fundraiser. I had a goal, but I didn't know how to reach it. I just didn't know what to say or where to begin, but my grandmother did. And looking back, she handed me the key to unlock a lifetime of connections through the power of storytelling. That was just the beginning. And I want it to become your key too, to unlock any goals that you're reaching for. And to help you do that, I've got a great story for you. Before I tell it, let me ask, how many times have you heard that, those words, and thought, this better be good? I've got a great story for you. It's a big promise, isn't it? Maybe you've said it yourself. I've got a great story for you. And, sometimes you've hyped up a story and you might have watched someone's eyes kind of glaze over when you tell it. Anybody relate to that? Okay, let's try this. Who here has a friend who tells terrible stories every time? If you didn't think of that friend, you might be that friend. I've got a great story for you. It's such a big promise when you think about it. And every time when we hear it, when we say it, it can go one of 2 ways, right? Maybe it is a great story, but it still falls flat. And then the next time your friend has something to share with you, you're skeptical how great the story really is. What's even worse is when you are the one with something to say, something really good, something really important. We all know that feeling when a story just falls flat and you've said, I've got a great story, and then you tell it and people respond with kind of a dull, so what? Look in their eyes. So I'm here to help you turn that so what into a wow. Let me give you an example. Maybe you just moved heaven and earth to make a flight. You ran through the airport. You talked your way to the very front of the TSA line. And once you saw the gate there in the distance, you ran even harder because you saw the crew was closing the door to board the plane. It's looking really bad. But somehow you slipped in there. You slid in Indiana Jones style through those heavy closing doors just before the gate slammed shut. And you made your flight. But then the problem is maybe what happened next is you texted your friend something like this. OMG, almost missed my flight. Well, your friend might just say, so what? Because that text really didn't live up to what you just went through. That text was a so what. What you just went through was a wow. So I'm here to help you turn those moments from so what to wow in all the stories that you tell, whether you're pitching a big idea or maybe explaining something complicated and hard to understand, or maybe you just want to make your text messages more interesting. I want the reaction that you get for all of your stories to be wow. And here's the secret. Storytelling isn't something you've either got or you don't. It is an art, yes, but it's also a science. And that means that you can learn it. You can study it. Storytelling is a skill which means you can get better at it regardless of your talent level. And they're hacks that you can use every single day. They're proven ways that you can amplify literally any story that you have to tell if you just think about it. So the first of those that I'll share with you today is how to make a connection. I'll show you how to go from, "Hi, I'm Francis Hodges' grandson," to a full-blown narrative that people remember. And you might even sell some coupon books. So I used to think that to be a great storyteller, you needed a big title attached. You needed to be a filmmaker or a performer or maybe even some type of hero that lived through something incredible. But anyone can be a great storyteller, regardless of your profession. You just need 3 things, and I'm here to share them with you today. What you do with those 3 things is truly limitless. That's because a single story can start a movement. It can change minds. It can pass down a family recipe. Stories can motivate people that facts alone cannot. So think about it this way. The resume gets you the interview. It's your invitation to talk. It's your invitation to tell a story about yourself. The story that you tell about your resume, that is what convinces someone to hire you. The story is what gets you the dream job. Storytelling can do so many things. It can unite a team. It can motivate them to win a championship. Storytelling can convince someone to donate to your fundraiser and buy those coupon books. Or it can just get you talking to that person at the dog park that has the cute doodle. Storytelling inspires action. It can change a habit. You know what I'm talking about if you've ever watched one of those docuseries like The Social Dilemma or maybe one of those documentaries on veganism. If so, you know what I mean. The things that they tell you made me never want to eat beef again. That's because storytelling connects ideas with a message, and science proves that. When we hear a great story, our brain waves get in sync with the storyteller. Literally, we feel the story with them. A Princeton study found that when we hear a personal story, our brain releases oxytocin. That's the trust hormone. It explains why we cry at movies and we feel loyal to brands that tell us things like, "Just do it." That is the power of storytelling. So when you avoid those so what moments and you move your stories into the wow territory, then you'll see that great storytelling can change the world for you, for your family, for your entire community. The most powerful moments of our lives live on through the stories that we tell. The stories you tell become your personal legacy and so much more. How many of you have felt the power of a really great story? Think about the last time you heard a story that made you cry. Maybe it made you change your mind, or it could have even taught you a new way to look out at the world. What about that story made it stick? In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to help you figure that out. You'll find your storytelling superpower, and trust me, you already have it. It's already inside you. I'm here to share the right tools to help you release it. And when you do, you'll have the key to open doors, to create connections, and to make a difference with all the stories that you share. I'll give you proven ways that you can go from so what to wow with any story that you tell. That is the power of storytelling. And I want to start today by sharing 3 things with you. First, why storytelling matters. You just learned that storytelling matters because it connects us. It makes people remember, and it helps us feel things together. Next, I'll share how to make your stories stick. And third, we'll talk about how to unlock your storytelling superpower and then use it to change the world. Or maybe just talk your way onto the plane when you're late and the gate is almost closed. Whatever your goal, I promise to help you get there. I've been studying this my entire life, sharing other people's stories from the coast of California to the source of the Nile River. I've told stories from inside the US Capitol and from sitting in the cockpit of the space shuttle. But I started a whole world away from all of that by saying just 7 words. Hi, I'm Jeremy Campbell, Francis Hodges' grandson. That is the sentence that started my storytelling career. I just didn't know it at the time. My grandmother Frances gave me that opening line, and with a loving nudge, she sent a shy kid from an Alabama farm town out of the nest. Off I went to talk to the bank teller, to talk to the store clerk, the grocer, really anyone that I could share those coupon books with. And I didn't know exactly what I would say next, but with that line, I knew where to start. That's because that line gave me a way to connect with everyone that I was talking to. You start with the connection. That is why storytelling matters. Let me show you how. So, have you ever struggled to find the words? You've got this great story inside. You can feel it. But when it comes out, it just doesn't sound as great as it did in your head. The person you're telling it to, you can tell definitely is not feeling anything. You see the look in their face. There's no wow. Maybe there's even a little so what. Maybe they don't even look up from their cell phone. So why do some stories stick while others fall flat? Why do we remember some moments forever while others completely disappear? I can tell you exactly what goes wrong. There's no connection. Connection is the most important reaction to the storytelling formula. The whole point of telling a good story is to connect with someone. That's what storytelling is meant to do. Stories connect us. This is why they matter. It's why studies show that 9 out of 10 of you prefer ads that look more like a movie than the traditional hard sell. And the Harvard Business Review found that leaders who use stories to motivate their teams are 10 times more likely to be successful than those who simply rely on data. A good story will make you care about the facts and remember them. And when that happens, your story sticks in so many ways. So here's an example. I'm going to take it from a recent headline. I want to tell the same story 2 different ways. Tell me which one is more likely to stick with you. A plane had to make an emergency landing in Toronto last month, but everyone was okay. Versus, did you see the news? A plane landed on an icy runway. It turned upside down, and the passengers were left dangling down from their seats. The airline is giving them each $30,000. So, which one of those is more interesting? It's obvious, right? Now, both are factual, but one of them drives connection. So I want you to think about why that is, because it will help you when you're telling your stories. On the second version, you could probably imagine yourself on that icy runway. You were maybe thinking about what it would feel like to be stuck in your seat upside down, hanging from the floor, which is the ceiling, and then what you would do if you got out of there unscratched. You might even be thinking about who you call first to tell the great story of what happened inside, how you survived it. Let them know you're okay. And I know a lot of you were probably like me thinking about that $30,000, maybe how you'd spend it, or maybe is that even enough money to compensate for going through all of that? There's several things in that story that could make your listener connect because you could put yourself in that narrative. Also, it had a beginning, a middle, and an ending. And there's just enough info to keep it interesting, but not overwhelm the listener with too many details. And that's what your story should do if you want them to be memorable. So I promise to help you share how to make your story stick. It involves the storytelling trifecta. And I want you to remember this part. The storytelling trifecta is relatability, authenticity, and emotion. All 3 of these need to go together. I'll explain what that means with a more personal example. So here we go. I want you to tell me which story is better. I'm going to tell 2 more stories. And both of them are about her. That's my dog, Coco. So story number 1. This is Coco. I adopted her when she was 3 years old. She's a poodle mix. Story number 2. After looking all over New York City for the right dog, I found the perfect one at a rescue. She'd been abandoned by her former owner in Texas, then hauled halfway across the country in a van filled with other animals. As soon as my husband and I saw her in Brooklyn, we knew she was the one for us. But maybe she was actually the one giving us a new home, because as luck would have it, 6 months later, we ended up moving to her home state of Texas. Coco is clearly the boss. So, okay, I have a little bias because any story about Coco is a good story to me. But when you listen to those two stories, how many of you preferred the second version? I think probably a lot of you. And that's because the second version had everything you need to make stories stick. Every great story that sticks has the three things I told you to remember: relatability, authenticity, and emotion. And I want to break down exactly what that means, exactly what each one is. We'll start with relatability. That's what connects you to the person you're telling the story to. In this case, if you are a pet lover, if you love dogs, if you have a dog, if you used to have a dog, then when you hear that story, you might be thinking about your own experience with a dog or even a cat or a bird, maybe a fish, whatever the case may be. It becomes relatable because we both have pets. Number two, authenticity. Authenticity means that you are staying true as a storyteller to the characters in your story. That happens when you're real, when you don't over-exaggerate. You become authentic. Your listener believes in your narrative. Now, Coco's story was authentic because I opened up about the struggles that we both faced and about our happy ending. And finally, emotion. Now, emotion is like a punctuation mark that writes your story in permanent ink. The emotion that you share in your story can be all sorts of things. It can be excitement, sadness, anger, love. We're talking about the essence of human existence pouring through any story that you tell. Literally anything that you can feel can become a great story. The trick is making sure your listener tells it too and feels it too. So in this case, the backstory offered insight into Coco's journey. So hearing that might have left you feeling something. Maybe you felt about how scary it must be for a dog to have been abandoned and then shipped across the country in a van with other animals. Or maybe you were just thinking about how joyous it feels to know that you matched in your life with the perfect pet. So that's how you get the authenticity and the emotion. That story also had a beginning, a middle, and an end. It began at the beginning with a search all over New York for a dog. In the middle, you learned that there was an abandoned pup traveling across the country looking for a home. It had a journey. And by the end, there was resolution. Coco is back in Texas in her new forever home. So that's a short story that had a setup, a conflict, and a resolution. The first version was just a quick list of facts. So when you add in the relatability, authenticity, and emotion, and you have some resolution in what you tell, it sticks. All the best stories do this. And where you can find it in a really short way is in movies and TV. Some of the most famous quotes from movies and TV actually tell you the whole story, the setup, the conflict, the resolution, in just one line. Sounds impossible, right? Well, think about it as I share some of these movie lines and you see just how much they're revealing. So, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, that completely sets up the Star Wars saga. Winter is coming. That prepares you for what's ahead in Game of Thrones. Houston, we have a problem. That gets right to the conflict in Apollo 13, almost as well as I See Dead People did in The Sixth Sense. And when it comes to heartfelt resolution, no one does it better than The Wizard of Oz and E.T. From I'll Be Right Here to There's No Place Like Home. Both lines captured the essence of storytelling, longing, challenge, and an emotional payoff. And they do it in just a few words. You can do it long or short. But this approach makes your story more engaging and more entertaining too. But stories can do much more than entertain people. In fact, they should. So this is where I want to push a little bit more to help you learn how to make your stories do more than connect. Your stories are going to do the work for you. They're going to do the work to create opportunities for you, for other people, from a new job to maybe convincing your friends to go on that beach trip. Storytelling can do all of this. It can do a lot, big and small. So let's dig into how that trifecta I mentioned, relatability, authenticity, and emotion, can help you create opportunity for yourself and for others. When you hear a great story, what do people remember? You may think it's the who, what, when, and where, the facts, but it's not. It's not the stats either. It's not even the data. So how could that be? Because the facts are always at the rock center of a good story, right? You have to know what happened. Yes, you do. But facts can be easily forgotten. They become so what if you don't give the person you're talking to a reason to care. That is where the emotion comes in. The emotion is where we get to the wow. People remember how you make them feel. Emotion creates empathy. It opens hearts and it leads to change. If people care about your story, they remember it. And they remember all of the crucial information that's inside. That is how you can make the story do the work for you. So, I want to give some examples. Remember, we first talked about why storytelling matters. It's all about the connection. Next, you learned how to make your story stick. Now it's time to dig into my favorite part, how to unlock your storytelling superpower. It's in there, I promise. And then use your storytelling superpower to do the work for you. So earlier I mentioned that I had the opportunity to tell a story from the cockpit of the space shuttle. Me, Francis Hodges' grandson from small town Alabama, got to sit in the commander's chair of the space shuttle Atlantis after watching it touch down on the runway for the very last time. It wasn't good luck. It wasn't even hard work that got me there. It was storytelling. I told a story to gain that access. This was a few years ago. I was a journalist on assignment at Cape Canaveral covering the final landing of the space shuttle program, the whole finale of the program. It wasn't just another mission. It was the last mission ever, a NASA milestone that marked the culmination of the entire space shuttle program. We're talking about the end of an era of American history that spanned decades. We're talking about dedication, sacrifice, and the pursuit of the unknown. And it all was coming down to this moment for hundreds of scientists who devoted their career to this movement, the space shuttle program. And as a journalist, I was assigned to be there out in the crowd, watching from afar. I would talk to people about what it was like to see the shuttle coming down, and that would be it. That was the plan. That in itself was amazing. But as I combed through my research from NASA to get ready for the event, I noticed an opportunity that truly made my heart race. NASA announced that a handful of reporters would be granted access like never before. You just had to submit your request and explain why you should be the one. Now, the problem with that is there were hundreds of other journalists in town, just like me, for this historic day, and there were less than a dozen spots. So I could have said, "Hi, I'm Jeremy Campbell, a reporter in town, and I'd like to cover this." Yeah, that's factual, but it's also a so what? I mean, everyone was vying for one of these spots, and everyone would be able to say the same thing. Everyone there wanted the same chance to document history. So just saying, "Hey, I'd like to do this, I'm a reporter," doesn't check any of the boxes that we've been talking about. There was no relatability. There was no authenticity. There was no emotion. There was no wow. And I needed a wow to connect. So I made my request, and it went something like this. "Hi, I'm Jeremy Campbell. I'm a journalist now, but my entire life I've been in awe of the Space Shuttle program. I grew up near the Space and Rocket Center and spent every summer there visiting as a kid. I assure you, I have the knowledge, the passion, and the drive to make sure this remarkable opportunity to document history is not wasted if you give me one of those slots." And it worked. Out of hundreds of journalists, I had a spot literally on the runway. And I'm quite sure whoever approved my request could relate to those space kid dreams that I'd referenced. Now, of course they did. The approver of my request worked at NASA, so chances are that they shared those same dreams of being a part of the mission beyond this planet. There was relatability. So I used my storytelling skill to get into the cockpit of the Space Shuttle Atlantis, but that's not what I want you to remember. I want you to remember that that didn't happen by chance. It didn't happen by talent. It was strategy. That's because what I said had connection, authenticity, and emotion. And if a small town kid can use storytelling to get inside a space shuttle, imagine what storytelling can do for you. Any great story has 3 things to help you do this. It's relatability, authenticity, and emotion. And by following that, you'll be able to do just what I did: connect and create opportunities. When you're authentic and you reveal your true self, you amplify your storytelling superpower. Your story will connect, and you will get closer to being in the room where everything happens. But once you're there, once you do connect with a great story, you might hit one more snag. Sure, you've triumphantly gone from so what to wow, but then after the wow can come another problem. Now what? What do you do once you have a story that people remember? How do you put it to work for you? What can you achieve with it? Once you're in the room with a story that sticks, how can you make the story achieve? So I want you to take all the things we've talked about, the connection, the relatability, the authenticity, the emotion, and add one more important thing to it: an idea. A great story plus an idea leads to action. So if you have a good idea attached to your story, you use the story to make people really care about your point. Earlier, I told you about my dog's amazing journey to her forever home. Here's another part I could have added on to Coco's story that would bring the idea into play. There are 6.2 million animals like Coco who need a home every year, and only half find their forever home. For those who don't find it, the ending can be quite grim. But there is a way that you can help save them. Will you join me in saving them? So what I did was connect an idea, a call to action, to that story. Now, I could have kept going. I could have asked to donate to a shelter, to sign some type of adoption drive, maybe to adopt a dog yourself. The idea can be a lot of different things. So think about what you want to accomplish. But no matter what the idea is, it has to be one thing, and that is the point of your story. You have to give your story a why. It's the chance to do good. It's an opportunity to power through and harness the greatness that a story can achieve when you tell it in a way that can change the world. Stories, after all, become movements, like the Civil Rights Movement. They've sparked nationwide change. Actually, studies suggest that storytelling and activism leads to 50% more participation in social causes. And I've seen it firsthand in big and in small ways. From the savvy Girl Scout selling cookies outside my gym, who convinced me to skip my workout and buy a box of cookies because it would empower her ambitions as an entrepreneur. Now, she didn't tell me to skip my workout, but once I bought those cookies, I'm going back to the car to have a snack. So that's a small way. But I've also seen storytelling work in big ways, all the way to the halls of Congress. In 2016, I told a story about an Army veteran who lost his medical benefits because of a health condition. Ironic, isn't it? He was diagnosed with PTSD while fighting for our country, but he lost his benefits because of the impact that his PTSD had on his service. So he spoke out about it with authenticity, emotion, and it was his frustration with his loss of care as a veteran that really sparked some relatability to many Americans. That was his story. The idea attached to it, the point, was a petition to support a bipartisan bill to help soldiers like him get the benefits that they were promised when they enlisted. We shared all of that inside the U.S. Capitol before a special audience where the head of the VA heard that plea. And a week later, a federal law passed to help veterans everywhere. And shortly after, so did a VA policy. And the head of the organization credited that story with inspiring him to make the change. One story changed the world for so many people. We've now covered why storytelling matters, because it connects. I shared how to make your story stick. You're going to be relatable, you're going to lean into emotion, and that's when your storytelling superpower will begin to unlock. I think I can feel it unlocking in a few of you already. So use it, tell it, change the world with it. Now that you know the science of what storytelling can do, we can talk about the art of storytelling. I love this part because art takes practice. You need to learn how your stories land so you can make them better. So test out your stories on a friend, test them out on a coworker. You can do this anytime, any day. Sometimes it's even easier to test out a story on a stranger that you meet. That's because the stakes are lower. I practiced my speech today on my dog Coco. And I even texted some of the lines to my friend Erin to see if she got a joke or two. You'll have to guess which one. So practice the stories you're going to tell. Every time someone asks you what you do for a living, for example, that's a chance to test out that story. Think about what works, get rid of what doesn't. So to make sure that the payoff is wow after you put a story out there, I have some fast tips to share with you before we go that will help with every single story. Number one, cut out the good. I know that sounds counterintuitive, right? Because we want to tell good stories, but if you want to tell stories that matter, good isn't simply good enough. Greatness is what we're going for, and greatness demands space. And the only way to make room for all great is to edit yourself. Cut out the good, keep the great. That is the stuff that we're looking for. And great is usually there, hiding between a lot of good parts. So today I'm going to challenge you to really be an editor in your own stories and cut out what's just pretty good so your story becomes all great. This can apply to conversations. It can apply to text messages or social media posts or emails. Maybe it especially applies to emails because there's no faster way to lose me with a long, tedious email. But an email that grabs my attention off the top, on the other hand, well, then maybe I'll keep reading. So, for example, if you put the phrase weekly update in the subject line, something you see all the time, I have no reason or interest to read that long email. It's a so what. But if you tell me a change is coming, this is what you need to know, I'm going to read that email. So cut the good, keep the great. Number two, you don't have to be the focus of every story, even the ones that are about you. In fact, you shouldn't be the focus of the story. Make it about the listener. So here's an example, because the stories will be about you, but what I'm talking about is framing it in a way that puts the attention on the listener. So if you were to ask me what I do for a living, my answer would be about you. I would say I help people tell the best stories of their lives and the best stories of their careers. And in saying that, I've subconsciously caused you to think perhaps, well, what stories am I telling? Can he help me tell a story better? So try this for yourself. Think about what you're telling and what's your story doing for the person you're telling it to? What is the benefit? What's the listener benefit? And the third tip, always use the rule of threes. When you need to list examples or tips or maybe even characters in your story, sometimes it's hard to know how many you should list. I'm telling you, stop thinking about it. This is the answer. The magic number is 3. No more, no less. 3 is digestible to people. They can process it. And it's no coincidence that the rule of 3 is my third fast tip. So once you harness all of this, you'll see how your stories can create opportunities that you never expected. Now that you know, let's focus on your storytelling journey ahead of you after this seminar. So my journey started with just 7 words. Hi, I'm Jeremy Campbell, Francis Hodges' grandson. That simple introduction, rooted in connection, authenticity, and a little bit of courage, was my way of stepping out into the world. And over time, I learned that a well-told story can do more than just introduce you. It can open doors, inspire action, and even change the world. So now it is your turn. Here's my challenge to you. This week, tell one story differently. Add emotion, make a connection, cut the good, keep the great, and see what happens. Because that is what storytelling is all about. Connection. It's about turning facts into feelings, turning moments into meaning, and transforming the so what into something unforgettable. Your story has power. Use it. I'm Jeremy Campbell, Francis Hodges' grandson. That is my story. What's the story you're going to tell to change the world?
Thank you so much, Mr. Campbell, for sharing these incredible words with us. Our next speaker are employees from my school, Northeast Alabama Community College. Brad Archer is the technical director, scenic designer, and light designer for our theater department. Brad grew up in the natural state and earned a AA degree in speech and theater from Arkansas State University, BEEPS. He moved on to Arkansas State University in Jonesboro and earned a bachelor's in fine arts in technical theater.
His first position after college was as a scenic artist for the Alliance Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. He went on to the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, where he earned a master's for fine arts and scenic design. He spent 2 summers as a scenic charge for Dogwood Dale Amphitheater in Richmond, Virginia, where he painted Sunday in the Park with George. He then found his way to Suffolk Community College on Long Island and taught there for 5 years.
This is his 17th year of teaching at Northeast Alabama Community College, where he has provided scenic design and technical direction for somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 shows. Outside of theater, he is an avid sports fan and collector and enjoys golf and gardening.
Kaylee Smith began performing in Northeast Alabama Community College theater productions at age 12. She was involved in over 25 plays at NACC before being hired as director of theater. Some of her favorite acting credits include Little Shop of Horrors, Into the Woods, Crime of the Heart, and Sylvia.
Kaylee has worked as an actor and academy instructor at Birmingham Children's Theater, the musical theater instructor at Booker T. Washington Magnet High School in Montgomery, a theater instructor at Scottsboro High School and Plainview High School, and has worked as a choreographer for various theater companies throughout the state.
She holds an Associate of Arts from NACC, a Bachelor's of Arts in Theater from Jacksonville State University, and a Master's of Arts in Theater from Regent University. Kaylee feels honored to have the opportunity to serve the theater and the community at NACC. Now, let's hear from Brad Archer and Kaylee Smith.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's very nice of you.
Yeah.
My name is Brad Archer. I am the technical director and scenic designer for Northeast Alabama Community College. I have been here since 2008 and done somewhere in the neighborhood of around 50 productions at Northeast Alabama. And was actually my first scholarship group of students. One of them is sitting right here beside me, and this is...
Oh, hi. I'm Kaylee Smith. I'm the director of theater here at NACC. I first started doing theater here, I believe, in 2001, 2002. And I've been involved in at least a little bit in most seasons since then, before getting hired here in 2019. So, you know, NACC theater's in my bones. It's home to me, so I'm really happy to be here and happy to be talking to all of you today. Should we jump right into what we're talking about today? You're supposed to start.
What are we talking about first?
Storytelling.
What?
Storytelling in theater.
Oh, yeah. So, theater has a primary purpose it serves, and that primary purpose is telling a story. We want to communicate something, we want to tell a story to an audience. And theater is a unique experience for us because of the circular response that exists between that audience and the characters on stage. Though, if the show's funny, if a show's highly energetic, that audience is going to provide energy to those actors on stage. If the actors are providing that same sort of response and gaining from that, they're providing that right back to the audience. So it just continues, right? You've probably all been in a show, you've probably all been to a play, maybe one here, I don't know, that wasn't quite as good as you wanted it to be. Maybe you weren't as into it as you might have been. Lots of shows, shows do different things. I've been in shows that are super high energy. I saw Memphis on Broadway when it first came out, and the audience was nutso for that show and stomping their feet in the floor, just having a great time enjoying that show. And so that experience exists often. Sometimes the experience is more low-key, but hopefully that story is being communicated to you clearly and well-defined to you, so you know what's happening within that story when you're watching a show.
Yeah, and so in order to tell these stories, we all have a process that we go through, right? So it's obviously going to differ depending on what kind of, if you're in a high school theater versus Broadway, obviously very different. But we just wanted to go through our process today, and we're also going to give you guys an opportunity to design your own show, which should be fun. So these are some of the things that we go through. This is going to be what we're talking about today. How our process of doing a show. So obviously, first off, we got to choose the show, right? So we are always on the lookout for shows that can be done here, whether we're going to see shows, we're listening to musicals, we're reading plays. I get emails from different licensing companies when they have purchased rights to shows. So we've always got an ear out and an eye out for shows that can be done here. And there are a lot of things that we consider when we're doing this. So the first thing that we think about is, do we have the people to make this happen? Do we have the talent? If it's a musical where the male lead is an incredible dancer, we might not necessarily have anyone that can do that kind of choreography, then that's something that we would right then and there probably nip that in the bud. And then sometimes we have a student, like last year we had a student who had been doing shows here for years, was an incredible singer, worked insanely hard, and we almost chose a show for her in a way. Like, how can we showcase her this last year that we have her? So there are different ways that we do it. If we have a year where we have just a ton of female talent and we really want to showcase that, obviously we're not going to do 12 Angry Men. So we think about those things a lot before we choose a show.
And then we also, we have to take into consideration our audience, right? Who is going to see this show? That can be slightly challenging for us sometimes. Art can be, comfortable for people at times, and sometimes art can be uncomfortable for people. So, the stories that we tell they will provide us with some sort of emotional reaction to that story. And so we try to mix it up. We try to pick shows that are going to be appealing to a large range of people from any age range, right? Like for instance, right now, we're gonna open, in April, we're gonna open James and the Giant Peach. That show is appealing to absolutely anybody that wants to see it, any age. I mean, don't bring your 2-year-old, that might not be much fun. But, you know, anybody that wanted to see that show, there's probably, bite my tongue, there's probably nothing that's gonna be offensive to them, right? Sometimes we pick shows that might be less appealing to the audience in the sense that maybe they don't know the title, for instance. Maybe they don't recognize what the show is. And there could be things in it sometimes that, you know, they don't agree with. And one of the things I've always told students is, you know, theater and art in general, I don't really believe is ever trying to tell you to think in a particular way. It's just trying to give you the information. It's just trying to provide you this experience, right? And so, you know, you get from it what you get from it, and people are going to get different things from it. You know, you can be sitting in an audience and sitting right next to one person and they get something from that show, and the person sitting next to you gets something totally different from the show. So, but audience becomes, you know, one of the major considerations for us when we're picking shows.
Right, and we also take into account the educational value for the audience, but specifically for our students, because even though we do operate as a community theater, it's still a college, and we still have students who are learning and growing and trying to hopefully make it in theater one day. So we think about that a lot too. Is this a piece that is going to challenge our students? Are they going to learn? What are they going to learn from this? What are they going to get from this and take away from it when they leave Northeast and go on to bigger things? We also think about, is the show relevant, which you kind of already covered, but you know, what's going on in the world right now? What are the stories that people need to hear? What are the stories that people want to hear? Maybe they want to come and escape for a little while, which also kind of goes along with that, with entertainment value. Is this something that people are just going to enjoy? Yeah,
and then we go, you know, then we deal with costs. Costs are one of the primary issues we probably deal with. One of the things that one of the very first costs that we need to be aware of, that a lot of, I don't know that all audience members maybe recognize it, and nor should they, but when we pick a show, the very first thing that we have to do once we've decided we're going to do that show is we have to pay for rights. And that can vary greatly, right, depending on what the show is. You know, there's plenty of shows that are public domain that cost you nothing to do, and then there's plenty of shows that can cost you high into the thousands of dollars to be able to do that show, and that's just to be able to do the show, right?
We have a lot of factors that go into that too, as far as, you know, audience size, how many shows you're doing, where your theater's located. It's
right.
There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, so those costs are, you know, one of the first things that we deal with. There's marketing costs, advertising costs, there's scenic requirement costs, costumes, sound, lighting, you know, any of those things. Sometimes we have to deal with the idea, well, maybe we have to hire, you know, we're going to have to hire a vocal coach to be a part of this show because it's a musical. Occasionally there could be other jobs or other things that are sort of specialized areas of theater that we need to hire somebody to do. Like if we're going to do Peter Pan, we decide to do Peter Pan. One of the great things about Peter Pan is we get to see people fly around, and so we can't legally do that for a multitude of different reasons, but we would hire a company to be responsible for installing or teaching the operation of how to fly those people around safely, right? So, you know, all of those costs come into play when it comes to us deciding what that show is going to be. I will tell you, I can't ever remember a time that we said we can't do that show because of the cost.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember a single time that we've ever said that. Now, in other places, I'm sure that plays a considerable role, but for us, it never really has been a major factor for us, but we do think about it still.
Yeah. Well, and we're really lucky to work here where we could,
Yes.
Dr. Campbell is very generous with the things that we ask for. Like, can we hire a company to come in and fly everyone around?
Right.
You know?
And we're also, we try to be, I guess, as environmental friendly as we can. I try to, for instance, if I buy a bunch of lumber for a show, I try to save as much of that lumber as I possibly can for the next show, to cut down on the cost of the next show, if I can do that, right? Sometimes I can't, and sometimes I can, but most of the time we do a pretty good job of that with the things that we maintain and keep.
Yeah. Okay. So now you get to choose a show. These are the 4 that we decided to let you guys choose from. So we had 2 musicals and 2 plays. So I want to let's take a vote. What about, raise your hand for The Diary of Anne Frank. Oh, wow. Legally Blonde. Okay. Okay, what about Peter Pan? Oh, I think it might be Peter Pan. Hamlet. The English department. Okay, I think did Peter Pan win?
It looked like
I think Peter Pan won.
Yeah, it looked like Peter Pan.
Good choice. It's a great show. Okay, so Jared, we're doing Peter Pan. All right, so the next step would be auditions and casting. So I always create a Google form and let people, their initial auditions are video submissions. This helps me a lot because I get to go back and watch them. It helps me with new people learning their names, their faces. For musicals, they're required to submit a video with 30 to 60 seconds of a musical theater song or a song in the style of the show. I used to require them to also do a monologue, but I stopped doing that because I tell them in the form, please perform the song, act the song, treat it as a monologue. And so usually that's enough for me to get an idea of what a person can do. And then for plays, they submit a 1-minute monologue. And then from there, and I usually, just because we're a community theater, I usually call everyone back to see what they can do. So callbacks, it's always a fun night. We start with a dance call, which I think helps everybody sort of warm up and kind of get to know each other and get the nerves out a little bit. So I'll teach 30 to 60 seconds of a dance number, sometimes from the show, something that I'm going to, choreography I'm going to use in the show, sometimes something totally different. But it helps me get to know who they are, how they work, how they take direction, and then, of course, can they dance? From there, we move on to vocal callbacks, and I do not call everyone back for vocal callbacks, or else we would be here all night. We're already here for hours doing this stuff. For vocal callbacks, my vocal director will come in. I have already sent out, at this point, I've sent out tracks and sheet music, so they've learned these songs, and it's only the people that I'm considering for these lead roles. And it also gives our vocal director a chance to see how they take direction. And then for a play, and then sometimes also for musicals, we'll do this too, we do cold reads. So they'll come in, I'll give them sides, which is just a few pages from the script, something that I want to see, and they'll come out and do a cold read or a chemistry read with someone so I can see how they work together. They might have to come in a few times in the night and read with different people to see how they work with different people. But it gives us a really good idea, and we feel a lot better about casting the show once we've done callbacks. So then we select the cast, we select the crew. We'll get into that a little deeper in just a second. And then we have our big company meeting where we announce the cast and crew. And this is something that, I don't think other theaters do. Usually you just post a cast list on the call board and everybody crowds around it. But for us, it's just tradition at Northeast, I think, at this point. We have a big show of it, a big production where we announce all the cast and crew and make everybody feel special and get excited for what's to come. So, things that we consider when we're choosing the cast and crew. Obviously, for the cast, you got to think about talent level. Can they handle this? Can they sing these parts? Can they dance? Do whatever the characters require. We think about look. If there's a character that's very specific in the way they look, obviously that we're going to take that into consideration. That can include age range, things like that. Are they the right fit for this physically? And then we think a lot about their personality. Are they someone that we want to work with? Have we worked with them before and they were difficult, but they're so talented, but they're difficult? We think about a lot of that too. And it's good that, we have a lot of people that come back, so that helps. We get to know these people a lot. But, each show there's a whole group of new people, so that can be difficult too when choosing these.
And then we choose crew in a similar way. One of the first things we take into consideration are the students' interest. Are they interested in scenic painting? Are they interested in sound? Are they interested in costumes? Are they interested in lighting? Any aspect of technical theater. We try to give them as many opportunities as we possibly can to participate in those aspects. But we also want to provide them with as much of a well-rounded experience of theater technically, if that's where their interests lie, as we can. So they may have their primary interest may be carpentry, but they've done carpentry for 3 shows in a row now. So we want you to branch out a little bit and do something different. So we try to get them to do that, so that they have a little broader resume they take away with them when they're done with Northeast and moving on to whatever they're gonna do next. Their skill level can play a role into it sometimes. That can vary greatly, because we can have people like the 14-year-old that's part of the crew right now for this show, all the way up to the 35 or 50 or 60-year-old person that's part of the crew also. So they can vary greatly, right, from person to person, and where their abilities and skills are, right. Hopefully they're getting, we're providing as much training as we possibly can with the different aspects so they can get as much knowledge about it. And personality is always important. We do factor that in. Sometimes people get along with other people better than they do with other people. So if we can, we try to have people that we all, we can all do well with. We want to, we don't want to have a lot of conflict if we can keep from it.
Yeah.
And
this is probably one of the hardest parts of the job, at least for me, because it's, you're breaking little hearts too. They can't all be the lead. It's really difficult. A lot of difficult decisions that go into this aspect. All right, we're going to let you guys choose. Oh, I can't read that.
So you chose
An actor.
Peter Pan, right?
Yeah, so think about that. Think about some of these things that we're talking about. We're doing Peter Pan. Would you rather cast an amazing dancer who is an okay singer but is very charismatic on stage? Or a well-rounded performer, a good singer, solid actor, decent dancer, but doesn't particularly stand out in any one area? Or, gosh, I can't see, an incredible actor, decent singer, but doesn't quite fit the look? Or a strong singer, okay actor, but perfect look for the role? So, A, B, the well-rounded performer. Okay, I think that's probably gonna win. C, or D. All right, definitely our well-rounded performer who's pretty good at a lot of things. It's very nice. All right, so once we've chosen a show, we've cast the show, we go into our design meetings. So the first thing that we do is we talk a lot a lot about what is our design style, what's the concept going to be. So for example, a few years ago we did Godspell, and it is one of those shows that is not set in any time period specifically. It's very open to interpretation as far as costuming, style, everything. So we thought a lot about it, and there's so many ways that you can do it. Actually, there's a production that just closed of Godspell that they did in a pool. And the actor, a pool.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. Look it up. So we talked a lot about it. We were like, okay, these people are, Jesus' disciples. They're outcast, maybe, in some of the parables that we're talking about. So then we started thinking about circus freaks and the outcasts, the people. So we ended up deciding on like an old carnival circus that's sort of fallen apart, which led to our design idea.
Which took us with the idea that we thought it would be really fun, since this is this circus kind of carnival idea, that if we did the show in an arena setting, so we put it at theater in the round, and so we're in a proscenium theater, so how do we do theater in the round? So we put everything on stage, and so we put the audience on stage, the set's on stage, all the actors are on stage, and
Very intimate.
What?
Very intimate.
Yeah, really
Very close.
intimate. It makes it a lot more, a lot better connection for the audience and the actors.
Which I think also served the story well, too, that it felt like everyone in the room was following this man and that we're all included.
Right, yeah. And then so we went with we wanted it to have a kind of rundown feel, so we had wood parts and painted parts like you might see in a circus, but then we weathered them and wore them so they weren't perfectly clean and nice, and we we set the audience up. We provided the elevation for the audience so they'd be able to see, and it was a really fun experience. It's a different experience for the actors. It's a different experience for the technicians working on the show. That the actors have to be aware that they're not in a situation where the audience is 20 or 80 feet away from them, and their facial expressions are going to be different in that situation versus their facial expressions when the audience is only 10 feet away from them. And so that's all part of that communication that we're providing. You don't, if they don't change their style, the actors don't realize that their style needs to be adjusted for the two different settings, then it can come across as sort of melodramatic in a sense, if they're doing things that are too big for an audience that close to them. And then the same thing with the technical aspects of the show. I can be a little less precise if you're sitting as far away as you are and the scenery's all the way back here. I don't have to be absolutely perfect with some things, but if you're sitting right here and we're seeing it, then the things have to be very clean and precise. There's a lot more detail that has to be applied that I might get away with not doing if I'm in a larger setting, Like, if you've ever been to the Metropolitan Opera House, you can sit in the 6th balcony in the back row of the Metropolitan Opera House. When you sit down, in the chair in front of you, there's a little box. You can put a quarter in the box and it'll open, and there's a pair of binoculars so that you can see the stage. You're literally a long way away. It's forever away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have to do as much detail. That's nice.
So something else that we sometimes think about with the design style and the concept is time period. I would say probably most shows, they are a specific time period and we don't get to decide. maybe. But some shows are very open to interpretation. So, for instance, right now we're doing James and the Giant Peach, and we decided to set it in the 70s. And that actually came from like costuming first, where I had seen this dance video, and they were all in these cool 70s costumes with that color palette that's just so. And so that actually we chose the show based on that, because I was like, what kind of show would go along with this 70s look, this kind of style of kind of weird choreography, and then we were like, oh, well, James and the Giant Peach would fit. And so, yeah, sometimes we get to include that when we are deciding on our style. And then once we've done that, we get into the design, all the design meetings. So all the different aspects: scenery, lighting, costumes, props, choreography, hair and makeup. There's a lot of design that is involved, and that's when we get into all of that. So everyone who's over a different area, at that point they will get our design style, and then they get a chance to kind of go off, create their own thing. And then we have design meetings, production meetings, and sometimes just check-ins with these people and making sure we're on the same page the whole time. And we design a show. And then we get into technical direction.
And technical direction, so normally when you look at a production, whether, that the play, you have somebody that's specifically the scenic designer, and you have somebody who's the lighting designer, you have somebody who's costume designer. There may be other people that are part of the overall staff or part of that production, and then you also have somebody that's a technical director. And so the scene designer is working directly with the technical director and communicating information. The scene designer is, concerned about the aesthetics of the show. They're worried about what the audience is going to see, what the audience is going to look at, how they're going to react to what it is they're seeing. The technical director is concerned with how they're going to make it, what they're going to make it out of, how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost, who's going to do it, when it's going to get done, all of those different aspects of it. And so in general, you have a few people dealing with all of those things. When you're at a smaller university, a smaller college, you often, like in our situation, have one person. And so they can be arguing with each other, right? So that sometimes I argue with myself about, this or that, because at some points I'm the technical director, and at some points I'm the scene designer. And so I have fights sometimes. People will hear me yelling in my office, and they're like, what's going on over there? Who are you yelling at? I'm myself. Don't worry about it. Go back to the green room. Those things are just sort of normal and natural in the process of us creating this overall story and feeling for an audience and what we're trying to do. So it's fun. It's enjoyable.
Okay. So we're going to show you guys a clip from our fall show, The Mountain Song, and we're going to talk about some of the design elements in that.
I don't
So when we did this, I remember, so it's interesting because we started this off, one of the first things we talked about was picking a show. And a lot of times, the picking of the show, even though we're all involved in that, it's in all honesty, it's in our situation, it's primarily Kaylee's real decision, right? And she's going to take feedback from people. We're going to discuss the shows, but she's the one that has to tell this story. It's most important what she's going to accomplish and what the actors are going to accomplish with her and telling that story. And it's student actors, so it's a different situation altogether because it's an educational experience. It's people learning how to do this, and Kaylee has to be able to read the play, see the play, understand the play, realize who's available to do that, and know that she's going to be able to communicate what it is she wants to communicate when she's looking at this particular play. And so when I read this play, when she decided this is the one she wanted to do, and I read it, I was like, what is this? I don't even have a clue what's happening. What are we doing? What is this show?
I think your exact words to me were, this is the stupidest thing I've ever read.
Yeah, I would never say such a thing. And so, that doesn't really matter, in terms of what it is that I'm thinking about when I read it. And so then Kaylee and I start talking about the show. We start our design meetings. We start that collaborative process and how we function. And I start getting a better understanding of the show. And I still may not be the biggest fan of it in the world, but we go through the process of what it is we want to do, and she starts clarifying what it is she wants to do. One of the primary things with Mountain Song was being able to communicate the idea that this show required 3 rivers. And so, we needed to be able to somehow say there's 3 rivers here that we can see, or we can sort of go into that suspension of disbelief and believe that here are those 3 rivers and here's how they're communicating that information to me. Mountain Song has an Appalachia base, and so mountains were also something that we needed to be able to communicate, and we wanted because of the nature of who the people were in the show, the characters, we wanted a sort of earthy sort of a feel, and we wanted to help communicate with the rivers and the rake and the mountains this journey that the carpenter would be taking, right? And so that's where for Mountain Song, for instance, the scenery is trying to provide as much clarity in that story as it possibly can. We were talking earlier, and one of the things that Kaylee and I had talked about with the Mountain Song that we really wanted to do was we wanted the mountains when the carpenter the first time he goes into the mountains searching for his daughter, we wanted the mountains to lower so that it gave the appearance he was getting higher into the mountains, right? And I was in love with this idea. I thought it was so cool and would be so much fun. My brain could picture it and could see it happening and knew what was going on. The reality of it was my brain wasn't that smart. And so when I started to try attempting to do that, and I wanted to lower the mountains to make that happen, the mountains, because of the way I decided to do it, the mountains didn't give us the appearance of him going up. It gave us the appearance that he threw water on the Wicked Witch of the West, and now she's melting and going down. And so it didn't really work, right? So I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but we had to compromise and realize that, we're not going to be able to make this happen. So we just have to live without it.
Yeah.
There wasn't a real solution to change it at that point, and do something to fix it.
Yeah.
So.
So also you saw some very beautiful lighting design by our very own Jared Blackwell. And I talked to, yeah. I talked to him about it today and asked him, how were you telling story through lighting? And he said he wanted to use a lot of dance lighting, so like a lot of side lighting, a lot of shadows. And he said in particular for this show that he felt like the dance and the movement was more important to showcase for him than necessarily a ton of front light. You can really see the actors' faces the whole time. That he particularly thought it was more important to see movement and shadows, and you can elaborate on that if you would like to.
One of the things that I'll mention that when I watched the show, and I talked about how I thought the show was really dumb, but after seeing the show and after having the first night that I watched the show and saw it before anybody else had seen it, I was awestruck with how beautiful the show was. It was one of the first times I had ever sat in a theater and gone, wow, it's only 47 minutes long. Why can it be longer? Can we keep watching? I want to see more. It was, I don't often get that reaction, but it was really, really well done by Kaylee and the students. It was just beautiful to watch. But in that moment you just watched, one of the things that I liked about the lighting for that show was the ability it provided in creating an environment and establishing this idea of nature. I always felt like when they're doing that moment, that those beams of light coming down through reminds me of seeing one of those beautiful photographs we see somewhere of the sunlight or the moonlight coming through the trees and falling onto the people. I thought that was always really beautiful. And some of the side lighting that happened during the show really gave me that feel of the sun, from a low angle coming into the space and casting those shadows and doing those things that we see in that kind of earthy sort of a natural environment that is pretty hard to, it can be pretty difficult to accomplish. But I thought Jared did a really nice job of making that happen.
Beautiful. Yeah, it was so beautiful. It's one of my faves. And then, of course, we have our amazing costume designer, Jessica Taheri. And I asked her the same question. How did you want to tell this story through costumes? And she had sent me, after I gave her kind of the idea, the concept, the sort of look that I was going for, she sends back this beautiful presentation for each character in the show. Not each actor, each character, because they all played a lot of roles, with different color, textures, all this stuff and it was very specific to each character. So, for instance, Brady, who played the carpenter, she used a lot of dusty blues and warm browns to convey his resilience and humility. And she does a lot of research. She's a dramaturg at heart. And one of the themes of the show is, it's obviously set in Appalachia and like storytelling, stories passed along through generations, Southern heritage. And she made the decision to use a hat that the hat Brady is wearing in the show is actually his grandfather's hat. And so she made that very specific decision that, obviously no one is going to know that when they come to see the show, but it's important to us. It means a lot to us, and I think it meant a lot to Brady. And things like that can really, I think, ground an actor too and remind you that you're human when you get up there. So there's a lot that goes into each designer's ideas. And then, of course, the choreography. So that's probably my favorite form of storytelling, or way to tell stories, is through movement and choreography. So I think it would have been really easy for this song in particular to just have Brady stand up here and sing, but I really wanted to incorporate dance, and I wanted to incorporate the ensemble. So I wanted to use them. At this point in the show, he's been traveling and going up and down this mountain for years looking for his daughter. So he's reached this point of just complete exhaustion. So I use the ensemble almost as an extension of that to really show that exhaustion. And they come in carrying their bags, their baggage, and just really taking that to another level than he could have expressed by himself. Also, the reason he is looking for his daughter is she's mute, and she left, years before to go to a school to learn sign language, to learn how to speak with her hands. And I personally love sign language. I've been slowly learning sign language over the past, I don't even know how many years. Something I'm passionate about, so I wanted to incorporate it in the choreography at certain points. I used it all throughout the show. It wasn't, perfect sign language, but I would use certain signs for certain words to create another movement. In this song, there he's talking about it's taking my breath away, and so I use the sign for breathe, for breath, and tried to use that all throughout the show. And then each actor, I don't know if you could tell at the end where they all cross up the raked stage. Each one of them got to choreograph their own 8 count. They had a little improv moment at the end there, and that was partially to let the actors be artists as well, and they get to contribute to the story, but also it kind of helped represent their own individual stories and on individual journeys on this mountain. And I had said something about the ensemble being an extension of the carpenter in that moment, and I had said that after the show had opened. I was talking to some of the kids about it, and one of the actresses was like, "Oh, I didn't know that was your thought process there." She's like, "When I'm doing it, for me, I am one of the people that have come after him. I'm not one of the people that I've taken my own journey, and I'm thinking of my own journey on this mountain." So I thought that was really interesting and fun that, my idea might be interpreted differently by the actors, and that was really cool. And then, of course, the video that you see, Trey Gilliland, is he in here, Trey? You might have seen his beautiful trailer that he made for the show, and that's part of it. It's used in the trailer. And so it's just this whole other layer of artistry, and we were talking a lot about that, about all the layers of everyone coming together with the thing that they're good at. And, it starts with my choreography, up in the studio, and it looks good. But then we get on the stage, on the set, and it looks better. Now we're on the right stage, and it looks so cool. And then, we add costumes, and it looks even better. And then we add lighting, and it looks even better. And then Trey takes a video of it, and it's gorgeous. And so, each of us individually are great at what we do, but when we put it all together, it creates this beautiful thing, which is theater.
Yeah, I've always felt like, when you look at theater, you see all the things happening when you're watching a play, and if you look at an artist, a painter, they create something that's from within them and something that they see, and sometimes that might be major research before they create that painting, but theater does it slightly differently, I think. You have somebody that's a scenic artist that's sort of like a painter, and you have somebody who's a actor, and you have somebody who's a seamstress, or they're the stitcher in the costume shop. I've always felt like all of those people, while they are certainly intelligent and creative and smart and what other adjectives you can describe them as, what they're doing is really a craft at that moment, right? They're creating a specific craft for that show, for that production. And then when you bring it all together and everything's been combined, and now we are in dress rehearsal or we are in performance, now we have the art. Now we've created that art, because I've always said that if you put a scenic design on the stage, without a show and without a play and without a story happening, the scenic design isn't art. It's not art until it's a full-blown show that we all get to see and experience. That's when you have the art.
Yeah. It's really cool. Jared, do you mind going to the next? Because I know if I hit play, it's going to play. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're doing Peter Pan, right? We haven't made any other design choices yet, right? So this is your first decision for design. Do you want it to be minimalist and abstract, realistic, spectacle, or found object? And that found object is one of my favorites. I guess I should probably explain that a little bit, but like this is a photo from the original production of The Old Man and the Old Moon, which we did here. But when we did it here, we decided that everything that was used in the scenic design should be something that could be found on a ship, because it was mostly set on a ship. So it's a little more simple. I don't know how best to describe found object. Is that okay? So let's decide. Do you guys want to do minimalist and abstract? Okay. Realistic? Spectacle? Yeah, I figured. Or found object? Okay.
All right.
So spectacle it is. Peter Pan is, that fits. You guys are thinking, you're thinking like designers.
Spectacle, I want to do a pirate ship.
All right, so now we're going to choose a lighting style. Minimalist and naturalistic, high-tech and theatrical, shadows and silhouettes, or dreamlike and surreal. So, minimalist, high-tech, theatrical. Okay, shadows and silhouettes. Makes sense for Peter Pan. Dreamlike and surreal. Ooh, that's tough.
I think it was
I think it's
high-tech and theatrical.
Yeah, I think we got high-tech and theatrical. All right, choose a costume style. Modern, period accurate, fantasy and theatrical, or abstract. Which I was very excited to find that photo. I thought that was very cool. All right, modern. Okay, period accurate. Fantasy and theatrical. Yeah. Abstract. All right, we're going with fantasy and theatrical, Jared. And finally, choose a choreography style. Classic musical theater, contemporary, hip hop, or anti-dance and movement. I am partial to anti-dance choreography. That term is coined by one of my favorite choreographers, Stephen Hoggett, who did Peter and the Starcatcher, which this is from, where he used. There's not a lot of dance involved, but there's a ton of movement, and the actors. I'll give a good example in that scene where she's going down the hallway and she's opening the different doors and finding what's in these doors on the ship, and it was a line of actors backs facing the audience, and she would walk down the hall, and then one of them would put their fist out, and it was the doorknob. She would open the door, and then they would all crowd around, and whatever was happening in that room was happening all around her, and then she would slam the door, and they would go back and form the wall, and they did that 3 times, and so that's sort of what that means, like anti-dance, but it's very movement and very. I love it. It's my fave. Okay, so classic musical theater. Okay, contemporary. Okay, hip hop. Oh, hip hop Peter Pan. Or anti-dance and movement. Wait, raise your hands a little higher. It wins.
That might be your winner.
Yay, anti-dance and movement.
Makes no sense.
Okay. All right. So once we've made all of those design choices and we have a vision and we have a direction, we go into rehearsals. So we start with 1 month of vocal rehearsals. So they're learning all of their harmonies and all of the dynamics, and our vocal director is just nailing it, just making them sound amazing. Then we go into choreography, so we're sort of layering as we go into choreography, and I teach all of the dance. dance routines that are happening in the show for about a month, and then we go into blocking, which is like the choreographed movement of everything. And we were talking about, probably a lot of people might think that it's just random or whatever, but everything is so specific. You know, they know exactly when and where to cross. You have to do this little thing on this line, and it's all very specific, and it's always the same every night. So I teach blocking pretty quickly. I'd probably teach it in about a week and a half, but then we have the rest of the month to really run it, clean it. We run acts, and then we start doing full runs of the show. And during this time, when I'm doing all of this with the actors,
we're also building the show. So one of the things that I've always thought so interesting about Northeast is we do things a little bit differently than any place else you're ever going to go, probably. One of those things that we do differently is they're rehearsing the show, they're going through choreography, they're going through blocking, they're going through vocal rehearsal, whatever it might be they're doing out here. At the same time they're doing it, we're right over there, or right behind them, and we're building scenery. So they're trying to sing, a song, and all of a sudden you hear a circular saw cut on and it's cutting something right, or whatever it might be. And so that can be challenging, distracting to some degree, for people. But we have found a way that we know it works, and we can get around it and make things happen. We're courteous of each other. If I know that, sometimes if I know that Kaylee needs to be able to have a quieter night, then I'll try to focus on things that don't require a lot of sawing or things that are going to be super loud. If I'm getting too loud and it's become a distraction, sometimes she'll tell me that, we're pretty loud back there. Mm-hmm. That's pretty rare. It doesn't happen that often.
And we can always do the same thing. If they need to get something built, we can move up into the studio and have a night of choreography in the studio.
The hardest thing, and the hardest thing from the technical aspect of it is, sometimes the technicians are supposed to be working on stuff, but because of what's going on out there, they want to watch what's happening, so there's a little bit of that going on, right? So it all works out just fine, and we do well. But and then, once we're through that process of all of that insanity and making all of these things happen, we go into tech rehearsals, and we get a chance to start running the show. Normally, we start a tech rehearsal, and we might try to say, well, we're going to tech Act 1 on this night, we're going to tech Act 2 on this night, and then we're going to tech the whole show. One of the important things about tech rehearsals is the actors have had an opportunity to learn their lines, learn their choreography, learn their blocking, do all the things they do. They've been working on it for a while. But, people like the stage manager who's been with Kaylee, watching the show and getting used to it, they have to now begin to call all the lighting cues, call all the sound cues, call scenery movement cues, do all the things that are responsible for a tech stage manager to start a show and make that happen. And that can be really important, all the way down to just the simple thing for the show to start, right? Mm-hmm. Because you walk into the theater, you're an audience member, you sit down, you're flipping through your program, you're playing Tetris on your phone, whatever, you're doing, I don't know, is that even a thing? Tetris. And so the stage manager has to communicate with the house manager in order to start the show. And so the house manager's, providing information that, I'm waiting on these people to get done in the restroom, or I'm waiting on this person to show up, whatever. And so just the simple beginning of the show and the starting of the show is important because it sets the tone for the rest of the evening, right? And hopefully that's a smooth start. When you walk into the theater, as soon as you walk into the theater, we're telling you the story already, right? Because you walk in And
You have a curated playlist that's playing before the show, the pre-show music.
Yeah, you have the pre-show music. We don't, theater, we have a set on stage already, and there's lighting, pre-show lighting that's set up, and we're trying to set you already into the mood of what the show is going to be. We don't do a grand drape that's closed anymore with curtain warmers on it, and we just don't do theater that way anymore. It's very rare.
Yeah.
And then that takes us into dress rehearsals.
Yeah, so dress rehearsals are when all the elements come together and you're rehearsing exactly as you're going to perform. So the actors are in full hair, makeup, costume, all the technical elements are rehearsed. We try to do at least 1 or 2 rehearsals with, a little bit of an audience, an invited dress with just, everyone invites a couple family members or friends. And then sometimes, we do the junior senior night where juniors and seniors from around the area get to see the show. And that helps us a lot too, because it gives the actors an idea of when to hold for a laugh, or they're going to applaud here, I think it also helps with the nerves a lot too, so they're not going in opening night. It's the first time anyone has seen it, So yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing as Broadway doing previews, right? I mean,
Right.
we do we have a couple of nights, hopefully, where we get a little bit of an audience. Broadway has 3 or 4 weeks of previews, so before they even really open the show,
they're still making changes at that point.
Yeah.
And at some point they freeze the show. And I guess we kind of do the same thing. I'll tell the cast, like, the show is frozen now. We're not making any more changes.
Right.
Any major changes. Yeah. All right. And so then, of course, opening night. This is fun for us because this is the moment where we get to sit back and just relax and enjoy the show. Usually relax unless something goes wrong, which happens. But yeah, now we're getting to just sit back and watch what we created and share it with our audiences. And like he said, they're all going to interpret it differently. They're all going to take different things from it. And it's just very rewarding, and rewarding for the actors and the crew. And then, should we go on to strike, or is there anything you want to say about?
We get to my favorite part of the show is when we get to strike it. So I tell people that all the time, right? That strike is my favorite part, is this, because that's when we tear this one all down. That's the moment that I love the most. And a lot of the people that have been part of the show for the 3 months we've been working on it get, upset with me because, they become attached to all these people, and they become attached to this character, and they become attached to the show. Hey, Troy. And so, they get upset with me about it, but the reason it's my favorite part is because I get to tear this one down, I get to start on a new one. And that's what I love about it so much. Kaylee and I were talking about it earlier, strike and closing is, with theater, it's only documented for us mostly in our mind, right? When it's over. Once it's done, it's only happened up here in its given time during the run of that particular show, and the audiences have been different. The performances have probably been slightly different from evening to evening, right? And so you get that experience, and then it's over, and it's documented in photography possibly, it's documented in video, but not video that legally can be distributed, right? So
archival thing, yeah.
Yeah, and so the only way we're remembering it is those ways, but also in our own memory, right? We're remembering the story that we saw and how that story impacted us as a person. And that's the beauty of theater and what it is that we do, but we also have that beauty in the idea this is the family that was formed while that show was happening, and those friendships and the people that they will keep that hopefully for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And sometimes, they become married.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica to Harry.
Both Jessicas.
And Matthew to Harry.
The cushions
Yeah.
and the crosses.
Oh, right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we were talking about it. It's almost
Jared.
like, oh yeah. It's almost
Carly.
like each show is so different. It's almost like each show has its own little like club, because it's like this group of people, we're the only ones that understand what this process was like. We're the only, we go through so much, and it's fun to like look back also once we have this finished product of what we were thinking at first when we were designing the show, and it evolves into this totally different thing. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about also that we measure time through the shows that we were doing instead of years. We talk about, well, when did this thing happen? Oh, it was when we were doing Peter Pan, or whatever. And that's how all of us have been for years, especially those of us that grew up doing theater here. It's a really cool, beautiful thing. And it's one of the only art forms that's not tangible, that goes away. So, really cool. Okay. So how are we doing, Jared? Okay, so we are going to see an AI image of the show that you guys created. I'm nervous. She's going to say, no.
I can't create an image of Peter Pan directly, but I can generate an image inspired by a fantasy-themed musical with elaborate costumes, high-tech lighting, and spectacular scenic design. Would you like me to proceed with that?
I'm nervous. Oh.
I wasn't able to generate the image
Come on, girl.
because the request didn't follow content policy guidelines. If you'd like, I can create a similar fantasy-themed stage design with elaborate costumes, high-tech lighting, and a spectacular scenic design, just without direct references to Peter Pan. Let me know how you'd like to proceed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So
Here's your fantasy-themed theatrical stage set featuring elaborate scenic design, high-tech lighting, and magical costumes. Let me know if you'd like any
Wow.
adjustments.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
What we were talking about, it also kind of shows that you still need people and you still need artists. So it's not exactly, but it's very cool. That's very cool. Whoa, Peter.
Yeah, it kind of gives me this Angels in America feel a little bit.
Yeah.
And too many Tinkerbells.
Yeah. There's the Indians. All right, well, very cool. All right, well, thank you guys so much for being here and listening to us ramble about what we do every day.
Thank you.
Now it is time to welcome a very special guest to the microphone, Tammy Fuentes. Tammy Fuentes is passionate about student success, which is why she loves working with Phi Theta Kappa International.
Ms. Fuentes serves as the Senior Director of Student Engagement for Division II at Phi Theta Kappa headquarters. She works to assist all of the chapters and regions within Division II with membership, recruitment, and engagement to provide a full Phi Theta Kappa experience for members, advisors, and alumni.
Mrs. Fuentes is passionate about the impact Phi Theta Kappa can have after serving as a chapter advisor for 22 years and a regional coordinator for 15 years. The Tau Theta chapter was the 2021 International Most Distinguished Chapter. In addition, the chapter won numerous Hallmark Awards and was published in both Civic Scholar and Changemakers. However, she says the most impactful experiences within PTK were seeing the lives of her members transformed through their involvement in Phi Theta Kappa.
Before working at PTK headquarters, Mrs. Fuentes served as Vice President of Student Affairs for Lambette Community College in Kansas. Through this role, she was a student success and a community college advocate. Her student first focus is what fueled her involvement in Phi Theta Kappa outside her full-time role. When not working, she spends time visiting her 2 adult children who are Phi Theta Kappa alumni. She also enjoys working out, walking/running, and traveling. Now let's hear from Mrs. Tammy Fuentes as she brings us an update from headquarters.
Hello, Alabama region. I hope everyone is doing great after an amazing catalyst. I am sad I wasn't able to visit Alabama this spring, but I hope to visit sometime within the next year. Since we are doing this update after Catalyst, the information in this headquarters update is a little shorter than it would normally be. However, I still have some great information that I want to share with you. So are you getting the most out of your Phi Theta Kappa membership? While PTK's first mission is to recognize academic excellence, we also want to provide opportunities for you to grow as a scholar and as a servant leader. Therefore, let's look at a couple of items that I want to make sure that you are taking advantage of. First, the spring scholarship application is due May 15th. The Leaders of Promise Scholarship is focused on providing members with financial resources while completing your associate's degree. Within the Leaders of Promise Scholarship, there are funds earmarked for current members of the military, their spouses, or their dependents, along with military veterans. There are also funds for international students or students who do not hold residency status through the Global Leaders of Promise Scholarship. In addition, the TEK Production Scholarship is for students majoring in production, event management, theater, performing arts, graphic design, video editing, stage management, sound design, or a closely related field. Applicants must be enrolled in an associate's degree work during the fall semester. Both workforce and transfer students are considered for this scholarship. So make sure you're getting out there and getting that scholarship application done. Nota Bene is another great opportunity for you to earn scholarship dollars as well. Nota Bene recognizes the outstanding writing and artistry of Phi Theta Kappa members. The first issue was published back in 1994. Members can submit up to 2 entries by April 23rd. Please do note that judging occurs in the summer, so recipients will not be notified until the fall. So lots of opportunities there. You can submit up to 2 entries. Make sure we've got that. So start working on your Honors in Action project now so you can apply for the HIA grant to help you with your project's research and service efforts. Please note that there are limited funds this year, so the only planned deadline as of right now is June 25th. So you can apply for $500 to $1,000 just to assist you with different things other than the items that are mentioned there on the screen. So it's another great opportunity that we provide to support your chapter in your efforts. So what is new in 2025? There's just a couple of things I want to mention along those lines. First, the most exciting, Honors Institute is back. May 29th to June 1st, we will be at Loyola University in Chicago, Illinois, to bring students and advisors together to explore the PTK Honors Study topic through engaging discussions, hands-on learning, and leadership development. More details will be announced very soon. Please note there are a limited number of attendees allowed, so you want to make sure to register early. In addition, we have our virtual learning opportunities such as the PTK Edge and Leadership Development programs. These are one of the best ways to enhance your skills through these self-paced courses. Healthcare Edge is for students pursuing medical careers. Competitive Edge is there to really develop your personal and professional skills. Transfer Edge will help you navigate the college transfer process. You can build a strong resume and interview skills by completing Employment Edge. And then Research Edge is a great way to strengthen your research and critical thinking abilities, as well as help with that HIA project. There's also the Leadership Development Program that is out there that is completely free and self-paced as well. In addition, we offer monthly webinars and virtual transfer fairs for students. You can explore these by visiting ptk.org and then going to events and then virtual learning to register for any of these sessions free of charge. So if you need assistance with reaching your chapter's goals, Melissa and I are always here to answer your questions or even meet with you virtually to help your chapter with membership growth and engagement. So we are here to support you and help you. So please take advantage of that. Our contact information is here on the screen. So as we close out this very short HQ update, I want to encourage each of you to take full advantage of your PTK membership. Apply for those scholarships. Explore those PTK Edge programs, get involved in your chapters through leadership and service, consider attending Honors Institute. PTK here is to support you, empower you, and help you achieve your dreams. Let's make the remainder of the spring 2025 an incredible season of growth and success. I also want to say a special thank you to Liesl, Kevin, and the regional team for their hard work and flexibility in still providing you with a virtual convention. Thank you for letting me share some of these amazing things that are happening at Phi Theta Kappa. Again, if me or Melissa can help you in any way, please reach out and connect with us. Thank you.
Thanks so much to Mrs. Fuentes. Now it's time to hear from our Associate Regional Coordinator as he brings the State of the Region address.
Thank you, and thank you to Liesl for giving me this opportunity to present the State of the Region. I wanted to recap our Phi Theta Kappa year from 2024 while also pulling in our honors study topic, the power of stories. But you see, I wasn't entirely sure of how to do this. There are stories from all over the place, so many that I wasn't even sure how to begin. I really can't start with now is the winter of our discontent. No, 7 years ago. No, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. No, wasn't. No. In the beginning, no, that one's taken. Once Upon a Time? No, I don't like that one either. No, you see, I needed something a little different. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Electric word life, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. That is Phi Theta Kappa and the Alabama region. My friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. You see, we're not here today to debate the Big Bang Theory or to conjure up Doctor Who or even to ask what our country can do. As the young and the restless, the bold and the beautiful, you stand on the precipice of great success, knowing that you have but one life to live. That like sands through the hourglass, so too are the days of our lives. No matter if you are from Yellowstone or Ozark or Bikini Bottom or even the Outer Banks, or if you grew up with a Family Guy, an American Dad, or a Real Housewife, or if you were Breaking Bad in a van down by the river, or if you live on Rainbow Road with Mario and Luigi, we understand that the struggles on this third rock of the sun are real, that our dateline has us tumbling out of bed and stumbling to the kitchen and nipping things in the bud before they build up like Minecraft stumbling blocks. Yes, Phi Theta Cappans, you do seem to have it rough. Folks are trying to tell you that orange is the new black. Bruno Mars says that he should have bought you flowers, while Miley says that she could buy them herself. Heck, you don't even know if you should side with Drake or Kendrick. There are billions of demands that are put on you. Alexander Shannara wants you to call me Alabama, and everybody wants you to do everything, everywhere, all at once, at least in the next 60 minutes or the next 48 hours. If you don't, you are the weakest link. Things seem to be bleak. It may seem like you're suffering 1,000 blows and that you might even be lost. It's true. Sometimes we aren't going to get help from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, NCIS, Reacher, Chicago PD, or even The Incredibles. No, we feel like we're in Gotham, on a blacklist, being chased by fantastic beasts or people with criminal minds. We feel that we're in jeopardy, on the wheel of fortune. But rest assured, the Force will be with you, always. Phi Theta Kappans, try to see your future with 2020 vision. You are the survivor. Help each other like the good doctor. Laugh like Mrs. Maisel. And let's make a deal until we find that the price is right. Avoid those that say we better call Saul. Let's sing like Swifties or Little Monsters. Be like Morgan Wallen and shake off the sand in my boots. Let's be the Top Gun. Roar like Black Panther. Conquer the world like your Wonder Woman or the Lion King. Be the Avengers. Let's say deal or no deal. Proclaim that America's got talent. We have high potential, and we're going to face Temptation Island and Stranger Things. Avoid the family feud. Risk being chopped by the Iron Chef, or beat by Bobby Flay, or thrown into the pit in an American Horror Story X-File, where we end up like The Walking Dead. No, let's boldly go where no one's gone before. Be the equalizer and live like we found love after lockup, making friendships like Scooby and Shaggy, and tell the world that I am not throwing away my shot and that we are Phi Theta Kappa, that in Phi Theta Kappa and the Alabama region, this is us. Now that was fun. But I want to be serious for just a minute. We started off our year last year having a wonderful convention at UAB, and it really got things started for us, and we're fortunate and grateful to UAB for hosting us last year. From there, we went on to Catalyst, where many of you learned about Phi Theta Kappa programs and member benefits in those educational forums that you could attend. While at Catalyst, we were also able to celebrate our region and several of our members and advisors as well. A number of our chapters brought home medals and Hallmark Awards. Our region was named a 5-star region in 2023, and 8 chapters made the top 100, including Beta Lambda Delta, who came in number 4 in the world. Building on that success, we held our annual mock chapter event in July at the University of Montevallo, where you walked through the steps of learning how to complete a college project and an Honors in Action project. 3 months after that, we held our leadership conference, during which we participated in a poetry slam and compared notes on our ongoing projects. Even while all of that was going on, you were recruiting new members. The overall regional membership was up in 2023 from 2022, and I'm happy to announce that we were up again in 2024. Indeed, we experienced a 3% growth in 2024, bringing in over 3,200 new students to the Alabama region. And moreover, I'm happy to say currently our 2025 membership is on pace to surpass that of 2024. So keep up the good work. That being said, though, we can do more. I want each chapter to reach out to our fellow chapters. We had some join us in 2024 that had been missing in the previous years. But there's still some more that we can check on. So as your chapters look to fellowship activities and you work through your projects, see if you can include the chapter down the road. We would love to see all 32 chapters in the Alabama region more involved. Another positive this year was our EDGE participation. We had 138 EDGE badges completed in 2024, and y'all, we've already had 48 EDGEs either started or completed here in 2025. Moreover, we had chapters published in Changemakers or Civic Scholar. Chapters received Honors in Action grants. And we've had students published in Nota Bene, and we've also had students named to the Jack Kent Cook semifinalist list. 5 students in the state of Alabama, and they'll be announced. The finalists will be announced in May of this year. I'm also extremely happy to announce that we are again a 5-star chapter here this year. Now, these things just don't happen. It takes planning, it takes communication, it takes some late nights working on all of these things that we work on. And Liesl and I are so proud of our regional officers. I would personally like to thank Liesl and the regional officers for the work that they have put in to achieve of our goals. And now the work begins anew. I think we can surpass our membership from last year. I think we can have more chapters participate at the regional level and have more chapters reach 3, 4, and 5-star status. I think we can get more students engaged in the EDGE programs. And I could go on and on and on. But if all of this seems daunting, don't worry. Trust yourselves, because if you don't have a clue or can't seem to score a monopoly on life and feel that you're down in the Scrabble, in trouble, and that you just can't connect 4, and that you're on a trivial pursuit of Candyland, while the Cards Against Humanity have you saying, "Go fish," to the old maid, who has you in a twister, going down the chutes and ladders like a settler of Catan, then tell the world, "Nope, I've got this. I'm a member of Phi Theta Kappa. Uno, Yahtzee, checkmate."
Now let's start handing out some awards. While we will give our Hallmark Awards this afternoon, we'd like to recognize the hard work of Alabama chapters through the 5-star program. In the 5-star program, chapters do not compete against each other. Instead, chapters earn stars through initiatives such as membership drives, regional engagement, and work on their honors and action projects and college projects. We will recognize chapters in attendance today.
We will begin with our 1-star chapters. Alpha Omega Epsilon chapter, Alpha Psi Xi chapter, Beta Phi Phi chapter, Lambda Epsilon chapter, Omega Mu chapter, Theta Lambda chapter.
Now let's congratulate our two-star chapters. Alpha Theta Rho chapter from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, Iota Iota chapter from Southern Union State Community College, Omicron Kappa chapter from Marion Military Institute, Omicron Upsilon chapter from Central Alabama Community College, and Tau Mu chapter from Enterprise State Community College. Congrats.
Next, we will congratulate our 3-star chapters. Alpha Epsilon Gamma chapter from Lawson State Community College, Alpha Eta Tau chapter from Wallace Community College, Selma, and Beta Epsilon Xi chapter from JF Drake State Community and Technical College.
Now let's move on to our 5-star chapters. Woo! Alpha Beta Eta chapter from Lauren B. Wallace Community College. Alpha Chi Tau chapter from Wallace State Community College. Alpha Epsilon Iota chapter from Shelton State Community College. Alpha Epsilon Nu chapter from Bishop State Community College. Alpha Eta Lambda chapter from Coastal Alabama Community College. Alpha Zeta Iota chapter from Northwest Shoals Community College. Beta Lambda Delta chapter from Jefferson State Community College. Omega Beta chapter from Wallace Community College in Dothan. Phi Upsilon chapter from Coastal Alabama Community College. Pi Pi chapter from Jefferson State Community College. Pi Psi chapter from Coastal Alabama Community College. Psi Epsilon chapter from Northwest Alabama Community College. Rho Rho chapter from Gadsden State Community College. And Sigma Lambda chapter from Calhoun Community College.
Congratulations to everybody. Even as my regional officer team has the bittersweet task of saying goodbye today, we're excited to welcome a new slate of students leaders to the region. Our candidates for regional office were not opposed, but because we cannot take a motion here before we choose each officer at Catalyst.
We've come to the difficult portion of our program. It's time for the 2024-2025 Regional Officer Team to say farewell. This year's team has been truly extraordinary. They've worked as one while allowing their own personalities to shine. While it's hard to say goodbye, I know that each of you has a bright future ahead. Please know that you will always be a part of the Alabama Regional family. Let's now hear from our team as they say goodbye. First, we'll hear from our Vice President of District 1, Caitlin Simmons.
Thank you, Dr. Kevin. I would like to start off by thanking every person who is involved with the administration, everyone who is a member of the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. Without you, this would not be possible. I would like to thank my regional and college PTK advisors. Thank you to Mrs. Pam Peters, Mrs. Lori Skinner, and Mrs. Jackie Jeffries for believing in me both for PTK in my college and for being a regional officer for PTK. Thank you for always being there to help me with anything that I needed help with. Thank you all for teaching me how to be a good and caring leader. I would also like to thank my regional advisors, Dr. Kevin Wyndham and Dr. Liesl Harris. Thank you both for all the love and support you have shown me over the past year. You have taught me the qualities each leader needs to be a great leader. You have both helped us in so many ways. Thank you for all the laughs, all the smiles, and all the wonderful conversations. When it was time for us to do assignments, it never felt like assignments because you both knew how to make them fun. Thank you for the fun times and helping develop me into the person I am today. I will never forget the love and memories you both have given me as your regional officer. I would also like to thank God for this amazing blessing He has given me. Being a regional officer is a blessing and honor, one that I will never forget or take for granted. Thank you to my amazing regional officer team and Northwest Shoals officer team. Both teams were phenomenal, and I am so grateful to be a part of both. Thank you, Stephanie, Camille, and Colin. Thank you for the many memories, laughs, and conversations that we had. Thank you for every memory that was made this past year. Stephanie. I will never forget the time where we rode together to the beach. That 6 hours felt more like 3 with all of the great conversations we had. Walking on the beach with you and trying to avoid the cold water was also fun too. And I definitely won't forget about the dinner you helped me make the other regional officers and the regional advisors. You definitely saved that meal. Thank you for the great memories, Steph. Camille, I will never forget the times we shared rooms and watched movies and just talked. Thank you for the many funny moments and all the great times. From you and Colin catching enough fish for us to eat, coming up with fun games for the conventions, and going out at night to spray paint a skirt for your Phineas the Ferb costume. Every moment was a joy to be part of. Thank you for the great memories, Camille. Colin, I will never forget the time you drove our team to see the Northern Lights. It was a great memory full of laughs, smiles, and funny conversations. This memory also had many pictures that were taken. You were always a good chauffeur and always a funny guy. Thank you for many times of driving us to go either watch a movie, see the Northern Lights, or to just go and see what we could get into. Thank you for the great memories, Colin. As a team, it was an honor to serve as a regional officer besides you all. Stephanie with her determination, Camille with her great personality, and Colin with his work ethic. I believe we made a great team. Thank you, team, for many wonderful memories that I will never forget and all the hard work that you each put into this past year. I'm so thankful for the friendships that were made and the hard work that was accomplished. Thank you to PTK for this wonderful and amazing opportunity to have been your 2024-2025 District 1 Regional Vice President. Now, please join me in welcoming our Vice President from District 2, Colin Holman.
Wow, I don't even know if I can follow up that. That was amazing. Okay. It was such an honor serving as one of the regional vice presidents this year. I loved every single second of it, and I just want to say a special thanks to many people. One is all the Phi Theta Kappa members. Without y'all, I mean, we wouldn't be able to do this. I also want to say thank you to my awesome chapter. I have the best chapter, I believe, ever, and they're just amazing. And Uncle Kev is also my advisor for my chapter. I also wanted to give a very special thank you to the regional coordinators, Dr. Kevin and Dr. Liesel. Y'all are amazing people. Y'all put a lot of work in behind the scenes. Guys, they're the best advisors in the world, and I'm so grateful to have them. They, just like Caitlin said, every assignment that we did was fun. Maybe some of the last minute, well, we weren't last minute, but some of the write-ups were kind of tough for me, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. We had everything in order. Everything was timely done, and everything was super organized, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate the qualities that they have taught me. Time management was one. I learned that from everybody. And I want to also give a special thank you to the ROs, Stephanie, Caitlin, and Camille. Man, I love spending time with all y'all. It was such a blessing. Like, we got to see the Northern Lights in Mobile. Who gets to do that? Nobody. That's kind of crazy. We got to drive to Walmart one night, and me and Caitlin had a really good conversation on the way back when we're all driving back. Stephanie, you cook really good. You cook very fantastic. That was such a blessing. And then Camille, I loved our conversations when we were talking about Dr. Lake and how many times we've seen him without a shirt and a tie, and you've never, and I've seen him one time. So I have that over you at a South Alabama game. Just like that. I mean, there's so many moments I could go off on a tangent, but every single one of them have been fantastic. So thank you, ROs. You're awesome. I want to say congratulations to the newly elected officers. Y'all are going to do great, and y'all are in really good hands with Dr. Lisa and Dr. Kevin. They're the bomb. All right. So thank you all for having me as an RO. I really enjoyed it. I hope next year is fantastic, and I hope this train keeps rolling. Colin Holman signing out. And
Well,
also,
good afternoon,
let's
everyone.
hear from Camille, the Vice President District 3. Woo!
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kayla Bailey, and it has been an incredible honor to serve as your 2024-2025 Vice President of District 3. Being a regional officer has been such a rewarding experience in so many ways. From building deep friendships with Stephanie, Caitlin, and Colin, Miss Liesel, and Uncle Kevin, to connecting with all of you. This journey has been filled with growth, and I'm truly grateful for the opportunity. To Stephanie, Caitlin, and Colin, you have become such a big part of my heart. I wish you nothing but the best, for the best of you. Oh, excuse me. I wish you nothing but the best as you continue on your path. I'll always remember our beach retreat when we drove an hour just to see the northern lights in Alabama. Each of you are such a light in this world, and I love you all so much. To Kevin and Liesel, thank you for showing us love and providing such a warm, safe space. You both have been amazing mentors, and I'm incredibly grateful for your guidance. Uncle Kevin, whenever you need a partner for musical karaoke, I'm your person. And Miss Liesel, I promise that one day Grady and I will recreate the Silver Springs performance. I'm just waiting to find that dress. I'd also like to take a moment to honor an important member of the Alabama regional family who couldn't be here today, Mr. John Harris. Thank you for loving us like your own children. Your laughter was infectious, and I'll never forget the charter trip we shared. You were so focused on getting me to catch a red drum, and when I did, you guided me every step of the way. That's the kind of man you were, always ready to guide and lead with love. To my future regional officers, make the most of this incredible experience. This role is what you make of it, so don't be afraid to connect with your team. And please take good care of Uncle Kevin and Miss Liesel for me. Thank you, Alabama Region, for allowing me to serve you. Camille Bailey, signing off. And now, let's hear from our regional president, Stephanie Rocha.
Oh my goodness, now I can't compete to y'all's amazing speeches. But hello, Phi Theta Kappa advisors, officers, and members. It has been my honor to serve as the 2024-2025 Alabama Regional President for Phi Theta Kappa. And I cannot express my gratitude to y'all with any length of words, but I'll try to do my best as I can now. I want to start my goodbye by beginning with my own little journey of PTK. Like many other students present today, most of us do not want to get involved. We want to stay here and stick to what we can do. Involvement, it's just a bonus. That was me. However, I did love the idea of getting extra money of a scholarship because we're college students and who does not want extra money? So temptation got the best of me and I emailed my PTK advisors. They do not know the story yet, so they're learning it for the first time. I had no intentions of joining PTK, but I was like, you know what? I think I should. I did. And then a little while later, I was like, here's an opportunity for me. And upon opportunities, I became an officer. And upon that, I became a regional officer. And I'm thankful for that. And this was my personal catalyst into becoming an involved student and a plethora of college experiences I've had with my fellow advisors and officers. I've had the opportunity to be a part of an amazing team, fellow officers such as Colin, Camille, and Caitlin, and amazing advisors, Dr. Kevin and Dr. Harris. I want to go ahead and express my gratitude for y'all, to all of y'all. Camille, Colin, Caitlin, thank you for the opportunity y'all brought to me and experiences you'll give me as well. From driving to the Northern Lights, it was amazing, guys. I will not forget. I will forever cherish that. To throwing Cheez-Its at seagulls during that retreat. They're forever going to be memories that are going to stay in my heart forever. Caitlin, like you mentioned earlier, that trip to the beach will forever stay in my heart as well. Dr. Wyndham and Dr. Harris, I am so thankful for all the opportunities you provided me, all the lessons I've learned, and Dr. Harris, your husband, all the stories he told us while we were over the retreat will always stay in my heart as well. I also want to reach out to all the PTK members who are present at the Zoom call right now. I want to thank them all for all the hard work they're putting in, participating from the local chapters and on their campus. And to the advisors, helping their chapters get more involved in creating outreach. And then further than the regional advisors and team, making us further, making them further, have further outreach. And just overall, thank you all so much for all the work I put in, helping provide opportunity and everything to students on campus. And this is me signing off. And now, time is here. We are thrilled to present our first Hallmark Awards. The Distinguished College Administrators Award is awarded to the college's vice president, deans, or directors serving as post-secondary institutions with an active Phi Theta Kappa chapter. Nominees should have served in the position for at least 3 years and should have demonstrated their tenure of strong level of support for the society. A college administrator may receive this award only once, and only 25 of these awards are presented annually. This year, the Alabama region is proud to recognize Sarah Goodwin Davis as the recipient of the Regional Distinguished College Administrator Award.
The Michael Bennett Lifetime Achievement Awards are presented to retiring college presidents and campus CEOs at post-secondary institutions with an active Phi Theta Kappa chapter. This year, the Alabama region is proud to say thank you to Dr. Linda Young for her years of service at Wallace Dothan and to congratulate her on being awarded the Bennett Lifetime Achievement Award. Mrs. Godwin Davis and Dr. Young will also be recognized at PTK Catalyst in Kansas City. Thank you for your service to PTK.
Hello, Alabama Region. It's time to present the Hallmark Awards. I'm Grady Taylor, former Alabama Regional President from the Pi Psi chapter at Coastal Alabama Community College.
And my name is Taylor Carden, former Alabama Regional Vice President of District 2 from the Beta Lambda Delta chapter at Jefferson State Community College. On behalf of my regional officer team, I would like to say that it is great to be back home with the Alabama region. Unfortunately, our former Vice President of District 1, Adriana Ingram, could not join us due to her being under the weather. Are you ready to pass out some Hallmark Awards?
We would like to commend the Alabama region for their incredible work this year. This afternoon, we'll celebrate their amazing accomplishments.
The Hallmark Award program reflects the scholarly ideals of Phi Theta Kappa and serves to recognize superior individual and chapter achievements in the Society's programs. Participation encourages excellence, reflects fairness, recognizes quality, and leads to enhanced student, advisor, and chapter development. The Hallmark Award program is based on competitively judged applications and recognizes individuals and chapters for excellence in the Society's hallmarks of scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowship. The Hallmark Award entries for the Alabama region were judged at the Phi Theta Kappa Center for Excellence in Jackson, Mississippi. The awards will be presented by chapter in alphabetical order, with the exception of the Most Distinguished Finalist and Most Distinguished Chapter Award, which will be presented in rank order. And now, let's begin our awards presentation.
Distinguished members are selected based on the student's embodiment of the hallmarks of the Society, emphasizing participation in Society programs. These members serve as role models to fellow members, contributing significantly to planning and implementing of the chapter's projects. The participation in chapter, college, and community projects demonstrated a commitment to their chapter's development in the hallmarks. The recipients of the Distinguished Chapter Member Award are from the Alpha Epsilon Iota chapter, Carter Tidmore; Pi Psi chapter, Yana Tro; Pi Psi Epsilon chapter, Caroline Yates; Rho chapter, Gracie Elizabeth Smith. Congratulations! Distinguished chapter officers are selected based on their demonstration of leadership, promotion of honors and action, and other engagements in the Society, and the enthusiasm for the Society's hallmarks. These officers have assumed key leadership roles in the chapter projects, positively influencing their fellow officers and members, setting goals, developing effective plans, and tracking their chapter's progress. They demonstrate ambition and persistence in fulfilling the requirements of their office. The recipients of the Distinguished Chapter Officer Award are from the Alpha Epsilon Iota chapter, Harrison Giddy; Psi Epsilon chapter, Stephanie Rocha; Pi Psi chapter, Camille Bonnie Marie Bailey; Sigma Lambda chapter, Madison Michelle Turney; Sigma Lambda chapter, Ayana Say. Congratulations.
The Distinguished Chapter Officer Team is a model for effective collaboration that leads to the successful implementation of the chapter's goals. These officer teams have demonstrated an exceptional atmosphere of teamwork, leadership abilities, promotion of honors and action, and enthusiasm for the Society's hallmarks. The recipients of the Distinguished Chapter Officer Team are from the Alpha Zeta Iota chapter, Northwest Shoals Community College; Annalise Hope Arrington, Landon Thomas Etherington, Ava Hester, Maylene Martinez, Amelia Regina Muse, Nicholas K. Pounders, Caitlin Simmons, Angela Staggs, and Delonzo Weaver. The next one is Beta Lambda Delta, Jefferson State Community College. Samuel Brecken, Helen Brown, Nicole Fernandez, Jose Martinez, Rodney Murray, and Zhao Wu.
Phi Epsilon Chapter, Northeast Alabama Community College, Chloe Bell, Breland Davidson, Stephanie Rocha, Antonio Miguel, Emily Flores, and Aiden Sims. The Pi Psi Chapter at Coastal Alabama Community College, Camille Bailey, Caleb Banks, Lucas Bro, Jack Burns, LaShawn Connolly, Ella Cranton, Chloe Crenshaw, Elena Fancher, Katrina Highfill, and Taylor Love Simon. The Sigma Lambda Chapter at Calhoun Community College, Kennedy Grace Archer, Sonia Loney, Ayana Say, and Madison Turney. Congratulations to all of our distinguished officer teams.
The vital role of the Phi Theta Kappa advisor in the personal development of members and the growth of the chapter in the hallmarks cannot be overstated. Outstanding advisors meet and participate regularly with officers and members, effectively guiding and motivating them throughout the year. They exemplify the values of lifelong learning and community service, making them a priority in their own lives. Excellent advisors consistently and effectively inspire chapter members to do their best both academically and in extracurricular activities. They persistently work to secure funding for the chapter and implement activities that not only increase student awareness of the benefits of membership, but also increase the chapter's visibility and positive image on campus and in the community. Before announcing our advisor awards, I'd like to ask all the advisors to stand. Phi Theta Kappa, let's show our advisors how much we appreciate them.
We appreciate you from afar.
The Advisor Award includes the Paragon Award, Distinguished Advisor Award, the Continued Excellence Award, and the Advisor Team Award. The Paragon Award for new advisors recognizes the contributions of advisors who have served for less than 4 years. This year, the winner of the Paragon Award is Bridget Willis, Alpha Epsilon Nu Chapter, Bishop State Community College. Congratulations.
The Distinguished Advisor Award and the Continued Excellence Award for advisors are the highest honors that may be presented to an advisor for the Alabama region. The Distinguished Advisor Award is presented to outstanding advisors who have served 4 or more years. The 2025 Distinguished Advisor Award winners are from the Omega Beta Chapter, Demisha Reed, Psi Epsilon Chapter, Billy Ray Day, Sigma Lambda Chapter, Dana Burton. Congratulations to our Distinguished Advisor winners. Advisors who have previously received the Distinguished Advisor Award are eligible to receive the Continued Excellence Award. An advisor may receive this award every other year. The recipients of the 2025 Continued Excellence Award for advisors are from the Alpha Epsilon Iota Chapter, Kevin Witham. Alpha Zeta Iota Chapter, Pam Peters. Pi Psi Chapter, Charles Lake. Congratulations to our Continued Excellence advisors.
The Distinguished Chapter Advisor Team Award recognizes advisor teams whose successful collaboration has assisted in the implementation of the chapter's goals. These advisors have demonstrated exceptional teamwork, leadership, and promotions of honors in action. The recipient of the 2025 Distinguished Chapter Advisor Team Award is from the Alpha Zeta Iota Chapter, Jacqueline K. Jeffries, Pam Peters, and Lori Cantrell Skinner. Congratulations.
The Hallmark Awards program, which reflects the scholarly ideas of Phi Theta Kappa, serves to recognize superior individuals and chapter achievement in society programs. In this program, chapters compete against one another. Participation encourages excellence, reflects fairness, recognizes quality, and leads to enhanced student, advisor, and chapter development. The Regional Hallmark Awards program is Phi Theta Kappa's competitive awards program that recognizes individuals and chapters for excellence in the society's hallmarks of scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowship. For the 2025 Hallmark Awards program, chapters reported their activities completed from January 2024 to December of 2024. The 2025 International Hallmark Awards will be presented at the Phi Theta Kappa Annual Convention in Kansas City, Missouri on April 5th.
The College Project is a collaborative effort that provides ample leadership development opportunities for chapter members. Its purpose is to establish a supportive relationship between the chapter and the college administration. Chapters meet with the college president or other administrators to determine the focus of the College Project, which can be anything that is beneficial to the college and supports its mission. The chapter must demonstrate a strong commitment to working with administration, and the project must show quantitative and qualitative outcomes. The chapter was challenged to reflect on what they learned, how they grew as servant leaders, and how their work could lead to future opportunities for improvement. These awards are given by chapter in alphabetical order. The recipients of the Distinguished College Project Award are Alpha Eta Tau Chapter, Wallace Community College. Click, Apply, Enroll, a video guide to dual enrollment admissions. Alpha Zeta Iota Chapter, Northwest Shoals Community College. Career Readiness, a pilot job shadowing program. Beta Lambda Delta Chapter, Jefferson State Community College, Making Mental Health Matter. Pi Pi Chapter, Jefferson State Community College, Building Relationships Through a Campus Garden. Sigma Lambda Chapter, Calhoun Community College, Making the Most of Calhoun, a Student's Guide to Campus. Congratulations to our Distinguished College Project winners. The Honors in Action Project provides the chapter ample opportunities for growth in scholarship, leadership, fellowship, and service. Projects focused on issues related to the Phi Theta Kappa's honors study topic, the power of stories. Students are required to be intentional and reflective throughout the process, as these elements are essential to the service learning model. A commitment to scholarship develops as chapters thoroughly research one of the provocative themes on the topic. Students develop sound, research-based conclusions and a set of service or advocacy-based objectives. As chapters pursue their objectives, they demonstrate persistence and flexibility as they work through obstacles and learn the value of collaboration, planning, and teamwork, all essential leadership skills. They learn the power of fellowship as they develop collaboration partnerships with other campus and community organizations to reach their goals. Successful projects must demonstrate elements of service or advocacy and have significant impact on the college and the community. These projects clearly show the value of informed action and service as a lifelong endeavor. Chapters will be recognized for having the most outstanding project for their chosen theme with the Distinguished Honors in Action Theme Award. The recipients for the Distinguished Honors in Action Theme Award are Theme 1, Why We Tell Stories, Alpha Beta Eta Chapter, Lurleen B. Wallace Community College. Theme 2, Perspectives Shape Stories, Sigma Lambda Chapter, Calhoun Community College. Theme 3, Ways Stories Are Told, Psi Epsilon Chapter, Northeast Alabama Community College. Theme 4, Preserving Stories, Pi Pi Chapter, Jefferson State Community College. Theme 5, Representation Through Stories, Beta Lambda Delta Chapter, Jefferson State Community College. Theme 6, Stories of Persistence, Resilience, Healing, and Sorrow, Pi Psi Chapter, Coastal Alabama Community College. Theme 7, Stories as Information, Misinformation, and Disinformation, Row Chapter, Gadsden State Community College. Theme 8, Fables, Folklores, and Fairy Tales, Alpha Chi Tau Chapter, Wallace State Community College. Congratulations to all of our Honors in Action Theme winners.
The Distinguished Honors in Action Project Award recognizes the 5 chapters with the highest overall scores for the Honors in Action Project. The recipients of the Distinguished Honors in Action Project Award are Alpha Zeta Iota Chapter, Northwest Shoals Community College. Beta Lambda Delta Chapter, Jefferson State Community College. The Pi Pi Chapter, Jefferson State Community College. The Pi Psi Chapter, Coastal Alabama Community College. And the Sigma Lambda Chapter, Calhoun Community College. Congratulations to all of our Honors in Action Project winners. Chapters must submit entries for the College Project Award and the Honors and Action Project Award to be considered for the Distinguished Chapter Award. Selection for Distinguished Chapter is based on the scores for written entries for these Hallmark Awards. Individual and team award entries, such as Distinguished Chapter Officer, Distinguished Advisor, and so forth, are not taken into account for the purposes of this award. These awards are given by chapter in alphabetical order. The following chapters have earned the Distinguished Chapter Award: Alpha Beta Eta Chapter, Lauren B. Wallace Community College; Alpha Chi Tau Chapter, Wallace State Community College; Alpha Eta Lambda Chapter, Coastal Alabama Community College; Omega Beta Chapter, Wallace Community College, Dothan; Phi Upsilon Chapter, Coastal Alabama Community College. Congratulations to all of our distinguished chapters.
If a chapter is named a distinguished chapter for 3 years consecutively, the chapter will be presented with the Alabama Region Continued Excellence Award. These awards are obtained from averaging a chapter's scores for their college project and honors and action project. The recipients of the Alabama Region Continued Excellence Award are Alpha Epsilon Iota, Shelton State Community College; Alpha Epsilon Nu Chapter, Bishop State Community College; Alpha Zeta Iota, Northwest Shoals Community College; Beta Lambda Delta Chapter, Jefferson State Community College; Pi Pi Chapter, Jefferson State Community College; Psi Epsilon Chapter, Northeast Alabama Community College; Pi Psi Chapter, Coastal Alabama Community College; Rho Rho Chapter, Gadsden State Community College; Sigma Lambda Chapter, Calhoun Community College. Congratulations to all of our Continued Excellence chapters.
The top 5 chapters in the Alabama region have demonstrated their commitment to the Society's mission to honor scholars and to build servant leaders. They are exemplary of our region's high standards for Phi Theta Kappa's hallmarks: scholarship, leadership, fellowship, and service. The title of Most Distinguished Chapter is awarded to the chapter having the highest total score from the written entries for the College Project and the Honors and Action Project. All projects are judged and scored at Phi Theta Kappa headquarters in Jackson, Mississippi.
The awards are presented in rank order. 4th finalist, Alpha Epsilon Iota Chapter, Shelton State Community College. 3rd finalist, Alpha Zeta Iota Chapter, Northwest Shoals Community College. 2nd finalist, Pi Pi Chapter, Jefferson State Community College. 1st finalist, Beta Lambda Delta Chapter, Jefferson State Community College. Congratulations to all of our finalists.
Okay, and now the moment we've all been waiting for. Team, can we do a drum roll? The most distinguished chapter in the Alabama region for 2025 is Sigma Lambda Chapter, Calhoun Community College. Let's give them a hand. Hey.
Round of applause.
Yay. And congratulations to all of our chapters. I'm so proud of all of you and the amazing work you've done this year. Thank you to our former regional officers for returning. It's great to see you. And at Catalyst, we installed another great team, so we're looking forward to another great year. We will see you at mock chapter in Montevallo. The summer advisors look for registration soon. And again, as I said in our previous video, thank you to the whole region for your love and support during this difficult time. I love you so much.
And Lisa, we love you, and you'll be with us in our thoughts and prayers going forward. To the outgoing officers, thank you so much. To Taylor and Grady, thank you again. Adriana, we hope you get well. Look forward to seeing you in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, and the entire Alabama region, this virtual convention is now adjourned. We will see you very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.